Welcome back. Simon Bowler uses old world craftsmanship to build beautiful modern gazebos using oak. I recently caught up with him from across the pond to see what he's been working on.
Now it's time for Open House, sponsored by Pyramid Heating and Cooling.
Simon Bowler is one of the world leaders in oak timber frame outdoor structures and bespoke garden architecture. Welcome to Around the House Northwest.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
You know, I absolutely love what you've been doing with your oak, just timber framing out there and the massive scale of it. What got you started doing this?
The love of the outdoors. My not particularly being keen on doing internal kind of intricate joinery. The tolerances are just that bit too fine for somebody like me. So I thought, if I like being outdoors, I might as well build things that help other people enjoy being outdoors as well. I like big pieces of timber. I like big visual impact that we make. It's just good fun.
Man, I love how you build that old world structure that looks like it's, hundreds of years old, but you're still using like the most modern equipment. And it's fun to see the scale of those tools.
Yeah, we've got some unusual pieces of kit. We've got, everything's big, everything's powerful, everything makes lots of sawdust, and everything's very much required, but more importantly, good fun to use.
So what got you started in all this? I mean, it's not just every day that somebody goes, I'm going to go build these huge, big, heavy structures.
Just experience and the journey that running a construction business takes you on. I started very small, started very simple, but always pushed myself. And when clients requested more complicated, bigger, more high-end things, I always just said yes, provided it was in the realms of reality that I could actually deliver what they were asking for. I always just said yes and pushed myself, and several years go by, and before you know it, you're building the kind of things that we build on a weekly basis now.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff, and it's got to be hard on your body too, because not only are the timbers heavy, you're using some awful large tools as well.
Yeah, the timbers are heavy. I think the biggest ones we use will be a 20-foot 8x8, and that can weigh almost half a ton.
Wow.
Not quite, maybe 400 kilos. We can just about move those manually, but we don't like to put many miles on those. We kind of move them once or twice, and that's enough. But the tools have got to be big.
Yeah, it's funny because you can't just use your normal handy, tools that you would use around the house when you've got, a little circular saw only cut so much.
Yeah, that's right. So the biggest circular saw we've got, which is the biggest that's available in the UK, has a 14-inch diameter blade on it. That gets a lot of attention on social media, that one. But it's it's quite a tame beast, really. You've just got to be in charge of it and make sure you're in control of it, but it's reasonably tame.
One of my favorite little projects you did was that big oak mallet. I thought that was brilliant. That thing's got to be massive.
It is. It's more of a prop rather than a functional tool. I made one that was fractionally too big. I kind of convinced myself that it was the right size, but it was fractionally too big to be swinging for hours and hours. So I made a smaller one, a more appropriate size. But then I thought, well, whilst I'm here, for the benefit of a YouTube video and for the benefit of a social media prop, let's make a massive one. Let's make a comedy size one. It probably weighs 20 kilos. I can swing it a few times, but then it has to go down.
Well, one swing knocks a peg in pretty far, I bet, at that point.
It does. If you get it right, yeah, you definitely don't want to hit your thumb with it, that's for sure.
Thumb? What thumb?
Exactly.
That is great. So what are your favorite projects to build? Because I tell you what, I love watching you just build your gazebos and stuff, and those are so complex, but simple and beautiful at the same time.
They're probably up there with my favourites, but what I very much like about them is that every single one is different. Although a lot of them look quite similar, each one has just a slightly different detail, slightly different post layout. They're all in different people's gardens, built for different people. So I like the fact that on face value looks the same. Actually, they're all slightly different. And I also like the fact that there's lots of different chapters in building them. So we get to build the oak frame, then we get to cut the roof on. Usually by the time we're ready to cut the roof on, I've had enough of the oak beams because they are heavy. And then once the roof is cut, we get to tile it, and then all the little details at the end, and then we finished it. And then by the time we've finished it, I'm kind of ready to do a bit more oak framing. But I like the fact that it gets broken up into several different chapters. It just keeps each day a bit more interesting.
How long does it usually take you to build one of those? Because there's a lot of time and effort going into each one of those.
So there's just myself and one other, and an average size one would take, we can probably do them in a couple of weeks, so that's from rough sawn beams right through to the finished article. But as time's gone on and social media's taken off and the YouTube channel's been born, the cameras come out, and that kind of slows the job down. So they take about 3 weeks on average.
How do people find your stuff? Because this is a must watch for people out there that haven't seen you before.
So we're on social media, is that what you mean? Which channels are we on?
You got it. How do people find you?
Yeah, so
there?
Instagram at Simon Bowler Ltd. TikTok, I'm sure if you just search for Simon Bowler in TikTok, I forget what the name of the actual handle is. That's a bit embarrassing. I ought to know, really. We've got a YouTube channel. We're on Facebook. We don't do much on Facebook, to be honest. I'm going to break the back of Facebook over Christmas time. But the main ones are Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Simon Bowler, thanks for taking the time today, man, and keep doing what you're doing. It's beautiful, stunning work.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.